All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you share this out. Help us out. This is the Metaphysical Mystics class that I talk about all the time. We try to do give away a sample of what we do in here. Um, so if anybody's interested in the class, just send me a message and we can get you enrolled. But tonight we're going to talk about blocks, about limited beliefs or limiting beliefs, and how to clear those blocks, by being open-minded. There's a lot of different ways, and we'll get into it. But yeah, so we're talking about clearing blocks. So anybody who is interested in that, stick around. And I'm not sure if we have anybody here yet, but let's see. No, we've got 0 people watching, so that's all right. It's only been just today. We got 3. All right, so yeah, limiting beliefs. Like having limited belief systems is a real downfall for any kind of psychic ability. Now, it can be good if you use it. Like, notice some, and I even do sometimes with different symbolism, but that's kind of how I see things, as more symbolism, or like these figures, these religious figures in these religious texts, as not so much as deities, but more as archetypes. Doesn't mean that there's some truth to that. There are deities, but I feel like we get too into an icon, or too into something to look up to, or a hero, or it gets hard when you get yourself stuck in one little box of thought or theory, or the spiritual view of something. And what I teach is the shamanic way, in my way, and that basically is just seeking truth. That's basically putting more, being more ceremonial, putting more energy and thought into what you're doing, whatever you're doing, and incorporating that spiritual side into your life, into your daily life. Um, However that is for you. It could be one day it could be walking in nature, another day it could be in meditation, and being open to receive. And I think this is where people have a hard time, because they don't experience those awakenings because they're not allowing themselves to, or they have some preconceived notion or something somebody's told them about how you can't do that. That's dangerous, that it'll hurt you. And in my opinion, that's not true. I mean, I guess there's some truth to it, but it really isn't. It doesn't work that way. You're getting in touch with your higher self, with your lower self, with your inner child. These are all things that matter, and they're all things that help in your spiritual development if you're willing to connect to it. Now, I would say, like, the higher self would be, I think all of it is. It's all in that same realm, is the imagination, the creative side within you. Where are you able to form a picture in your mind, or let a picture form in your mind, to be able to have the experience that's being sent to you or given to you. So when we have these limiting beliefs, we need to be able to recognize them better and see that they are limiting us. Doesn't mean we can't still have that kind of way of thinking, or that belief system, but when we get so stuck in one belief system, we're stuck. We're going to be stuck in that box. And there's plenty to learn in certain belief systems, but when we're getting certain messages and we're getting certain visions, some of those things don't make sense, or they feel you're only going to see what you allow yourself to see. So if you only allow yourself to see as a Muslim, that's all you're going to see. If you allow yourself to see only as a Buddhist, that's all you're going to see. And these are where the blocks happen. These are where we start feeling stuck, when and even me. I mean, my way of looking at things and my perception, it changes. Yeah. There's a few things that I've kind of tried and true, always kind of been the truth. But there's other things that eventually what happens when you start to get when your belief system gets challenged, you oppose it at first, right? And then you violently defend too. You allow it to. You eventually come to a place where kind of go through this phase of at first you oppose it, it pisses you off, or that's not the way it's supposed to be. Then you eventually accept it. You eventually, hopefully, accept that new way of thinking or new perception that just came in. And it happens all the time if you're tapping in all the time. Whether you're going to church and praying, or you're doing a reading for somebody, or you're utilizing your own extrasensory perception to help heal. So, when an artist gets a block, or a musician or a writer gets a block, it's usually because they're stuck in a place that is kind of ran its course, and they start to feel like everything's the same. At least for me, like, okay, everything sounds too much the same. I gotta change it up a little bit. Or sometimes it just kind of comes in and like, wow, where'd that song come from? But this is what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about when we feel like we're blocked. There's no block there but us. We're blocking the information from coming in. You have anything to say about that, honey?
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, you can go ahead and believe someone's word when they say, oh, you got to curse, or I'm cursing you, or I'm whatever, or this or that or the other. But it's your allowance of that statement that really makes it most powerful, right? Like, I'm not saying, magic doesn't exist. I utilize my magic every single day. But when you put something on another, no matter in what form it is, the only thing that makes it happen is if they say yes, right? If they allow that to happen. Whether they mean to or not, maybe they just strongly believe that person and they suddenly said this thing and they took it to heart. You know what I mean? But it's still that allowance that makes it.
And being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
That can block you. And yeah, there's times of reflection. There's times when you are hard on yourself, and sometimes you do need to check yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes your ego does need a little bit of a deflation. Ego is important, though. Mm-hmm. Ego is the I am, the me. It just, when it gets to be, oh, it's all me, and this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And I hear it all the time in a lot of different podcasts and a lot of different people. They get into that place where it's just, they're not allowing any other information in, or allowing their minds to change a little bit or shift, because they are so stuck into that rabbit hole, that whatever you want to call it. Yeah, their beliefs. And really, like, beliefs are difficult. Ideas are different. Beliefs are kind of, they get you stuck and locked in place.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain things that, I have beliefs in, but more try to keep them as ideas. Mm-hmm. And this is what makes sense so far. This is what's been making sense, what's proven me to make sense. And that can change.
Yeah.
Usually it doesn't change completely. It's in addition to what you already know. So if you're feeling blocked, you're feeling like that, you can't create what you once could create, or you can't, you just can't see clearly anymore.
Right.
Well, it's time to take a little perception change. Give yourself a little time for the perception to change and shift a little bit. And hello, Denise and Catherine, watching live. And Penny, hope you're enjoying the discussion. Welcome. Please share this out. We are giving away a free class tonight, so allowing everybody to come into class for free. Maybe we'll open up the lines of communication to share the link, and anybody else who wants to come in and share, they can do that too. We'll do that in a few minutes. But usually how we start class, that was a pretty big monologue, but usually how we start class is everybody tells a story. Tells one story from their life, or maybe even just from this week. Whatever story is true to you, It can be the most outlandish story to somebody else, but being in as much detail as possible and telling a good story, but a story that's real. It's real to you. It can be anything. I mean, of course, it's paranormal, or if it has to do with intuition or psychic abilities, of course, that adds to it, but it doesn't have to be that. So, who wants to start tonight with their story?
Everyone.
Everyone wants to start. All right, go ahead. Just jump right in and go.
All right.
All right.
Ralph he went to dialysis on Thursday. He got dizzy when he got out of the car. He fell. They shipped him off to the hospital. 2 hours later, we get a call, pick him up. We picked him up Friday. We get a call. He's got a bacterial infection in his blood. Bring him back. So we bring him back. They discharged him again.
What?
And now, and then today he's telling me he doesn't feel well, so I took him back. Now they found a bunch of fluid on his lungs.
Oh my goodness.
Yikes.
So I've been having a very frustrating time.
Yeah.
Because the one out, his wife, she double dosed on her medicine. So I now know she can't be trusted with that. So I got to keep that away from her. And I took his medicine away.
Right.
So she doesn't help herself to that. It's
right. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Ugh.
So lack of sleep and getting lack of patience keep me in thought.
Hey, you didn't get a chance to take a nap today, did you?
No, as soon as I laid down, Ralph calls.
Yeah.
Or the hospital called wanting to know about some of his medicines, and I'm just like, I wonder if I should turn my phone off like he does us, My sister was with my sister and my niece being here. It was very enjoyable. My niece slept a third of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So we got him to the beach, took him to Main Street, and that was about it.
Nice.
We rested Thursday and Friday, because she went to the airport Saturday.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got to spend some time with her.
Now, back to reality.
Yeah. And also I asked for 1 week of not to be disturbed by said people, and all hell breaks loose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sucks. That's not good.
So hopefully tomorrow will be a new day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It will be.
It will be a brand new day.
I know. I've been, being out here and being out in the middle of nowhere, you do kind of get sometimes this isolating feeling, which it can be very good, but it can also be very like, oh, wow, and that's just part of the course. That's what happens. Yeah. But my story, I can let Norma, do you want to tell the hawk story?
Well, it's a
I mean, I'm trying to think of
story,
the best story I had for this week.
Yeah.
And everybody else, think of yours, because you're going to get chosen.
I just, I was kind of tending to the chickens. I was just going to put them in their run for a little while because the sun was still going to be up for a bit. And I look over, and all day I hadn't seen any of our ravens, right? Usually there's ravens all over here, and I feel safe from aerial predators, right? Because they're around. Well, the one day I don't see them. Here comes a hawk right down by the end of the driveway. And I'm with the girls. And so I tried to get them to go inside to recognize the danger. And they're looking at me like I'm some kind of idiot. So that's my story.
I just dropped the links in Facebook and YouTube. So if anybody else wants to join the class and interact, maybe tell a story you have.
My older birds don't know.
You're welcome.
Dangers.
Just tap that link and it should take you right there. This is kind of an open forum tonight, but we're talking mainly about blocks, and I mean that's a block right there for Kathy. She couldn't get a rest.
Right.
She couldn't get her rest, and that's kind of blocked her, but she'll catch up, I'm sure. She's a good sleeper. So you're telling me your niece sleeps more than you do?
Well, her work runs her ragged.
Yeah.
And then coming home and dealing with her kids, her dad, meals, house, that kind of stuff. So when she came, she was extremely exhausted.
So she got to get some good rest.
Yeah, and I was happy for her,
Yeah.
that she was able to get some rest, but
Right.
That's good. All right, who's next to step up to the plate?
Okay, I'll go.
All right.
So I'm trying to think of this week. This week has been a doozy.
today, tell him today.
Oh God. Well, so I messaged him actually yesterday, and we were talking about things because I got a reading, and so he's pretty filled in on the situation. I think, if anything, so I'm doing like a side job for this lady, and she's going to be paying me under the table so that I don't obviously affect the disability case.
Nice.
Blah blah blah. So I know that people come into your life at certain times for certain reasons. And I truly think this lady is she's insane and it's fabulous. I love her so much because she started her own business. It's a staging company for houses that are going on the market.
Uh-huh.
So she deep cleans and then she picks the furniture and sets the houses up for the showings.
Yeah.
And while I was there helping her with one of the houses the other day, and just kind of talking to her, she messaged me after we left the house and she's like, I really want to try to help you and the boys. So she said she's going to try to put contacts out for different realtors in the community to see if there's some way that somebody could help just with housing for just the next little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was talking about a GoFundMe account, which I don't know. I'm not good at that kind of stuff, but she just is a very resourceful, very helpful person. And I'm super grateful that I met her when I did, because we need the outsource or resources or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my story.
Just plugging away. Looks like things are looking up. You're up better than you were last week.
Right.
I mean, you are, but there's other shit going on that I know is not.
Right.
You're at least getting some good news though. You're getting some opportunities.
Exactly. If I don't dwell and I don't freak myself out, then it's fine. As long as I just continue to look forward and it's just what we've always talked about, the yin and the yang, the good and the bad.
Yep.
So as long as I just continue focusing on that and not letting myself get sucked into being depressed and why is this happening to me? What did I do? Because it would be super easy to fall into the woe is me at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm really focusing on not doing that because it's not going to be good for anybody. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you must be ready for this kind of chaos because
Here it comes.
Here it is. And that's
yeah,
a testament. I mean, I know the last 3 years, 4 years have been ups and downs and hanging in there, and just the fact that you've continued to hang in there.
Yep.
And you've had your accomplishments and your ups, your ups, but a lot of it's been kind of unsure.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where your life is no, you don't get to have control. And you're a water sign. You're like me. We think about shit too much.
Yeah.
And ponder it and worry about it and stress over it.
I was able to get a load of stuff off my chest here, which I was messaging us, and so being able to do that and speak my truth and express how I feel is something that's obviously super important to me. And if I feel like I'm being stifled or muted or being pushed down in what I'm trying to express, I get super overwhelmed. And so that was a good thing yesterday, was just being able to just vent everything out, let everything out in the open. Because to me, it's just who fucking cares? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has to grow. Everybody has to have hard experiences to be able to grow.
Yes.
Yep.
Some recognition or acknowledgement, dude, would just make things sound just a little bit easier, but you can't force other people to see things.
Right.
So,
You can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great conversation or a little tidbit. That's what I'm talking about right there. If anybody else, it looks like Tracy's joined the class. They're in the studio. And Tina has a story, right? Or whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
I know Tina has a story. I don't know if she wants to share it.
Really, I don't have a story. I I do, but I've got a kind of like I'm not a shy person, but when like a lot of people are listening,
Yeah.
then I kind of shut down.
Okay, okay.
So
What about the story about what that you told me last night?
uh, I well, I found it for me, but like I was telling you, it might hurt others.
Yeah.
You
I don't
know,
know if it would hurt others though. Not anybody here, I don't think. But if you don't want, you don't have to. You
Yeah,
don't
but
have
you
to
don't have to die. Yeah,
make it because we are live. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be public.
that's right.
okay, I think I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right.
Does Tracy have a story?
Tracy, do you have anything to add, or want to get off something off your chest for today, for this week, or
So I
something?
guess I'm kind of like Tina in a way,
Mhm.
where I'm pretty shy, and I accepted an invitation to go to what's called the American Legion College,
Uh-huh.
and I've been kind of dreading it because a lot of people have asked me to go. I'm getting more and more involved with the Legion,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they've asked me to do more and more in the leadership role, and I am not good in a group. I'm very good one-on-one,
Right.
not good in a group.
Yeah.
And in the Legion College, it's a lot of presentations, a lot of collaborating, a lot of
Mhm.
group work.
Right.
Yeah.
So I finally decided to go, and I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to go. And
Right.
if I do, in order to progress where I really kind of want to go, I have to get the skill down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's only going to make me better and make me grow. So I kind of sucked it up, and I am going at the end of May.
Awesome.
But there's also overwhelming things like my 2 dogs. I am doing agility work with one. I'm doing scent work with the other. I'm a volunteer firefighter, so it's just like I get to these moods where I like do too much,
Yeah.
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 and then I have to like back off. But then it's like, okay, what do I back off on? And so it's just very. But that's
Finding
like
your
kind of my. I guess that's kind of what I do is like, okay, I want to do all of these things, and I do them all at once, and then I'm like, oh crap, I can't do all of these things at once.
Yeah.
Right.
You overwhelm yourself. I know. I get that way too. I'll get everything spread out. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'll start on this, and I want to do this. Oh no, wait a minute. Okay, I got too much going on. I need to stop and just do one thing at a time.
Like my
That's
room
cool.
is a disaster area right now and like I think that's what's blocking me is because like my room is such a mess.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of like hard cleaning today, and we're still not done. But we did the same thing, and it is feeling better though.
Yeah.
It's feeling better when you clear your space, and it's never. I mean, since we've been here, we've been kind of halfway moved in anyway, and trying to do
And
other
trying
things.
to clean up all the old stuff because we got it used. Wasn't very clean.
And I
so
had
yeah.
to move
And
at work too because I moved my office at work too.
Oh,
Ah.
yeah.
Ugh.
That much more. Yeah.
Well, that's what this place is for. It's a place to just breathe and exhale and speak your mind, speak what's on your mind and on your heart. And yeah,
So-
those blocks they can come from just doing too much.
Yeah.
Trying to
because-
convince the husband I don't want to be part of the fire department anymore is what's kind of
Ah,
because
why is that?
that's kind of how we progressed our relationship, I guess is the right way to say that. We were dating, but he was already way involved in the fire department, and I joined
Right.
just to spend more time with him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we progressed. And now it's like, yeah, I don't really have that passion anymore.
Right. Time to move on to something else. Well, it looks like you're
But-
getting your VFW. That's awesome, and you're working with groups, which is going to
But
help
like
you.
he is so like anti, like, oh my god, you can't stop the Legion. It's community service, and I'm like, yeah, but Legion is too, and
Right.
I'm more into that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. He's probably just bummed out because
He got to spend a lot of time with you.
Yeah.
Over there.
you guys were, clicking on the same page, and you still are. You're
You're just growing a little.
you're wanting to do
Expanding.
other things and learn other things and experience other things, and that's okay. And again, where blocks can come from is
Expectations.
other people's expectations and your own. But when you have people that you care about and you love, and you're not getting that support from them,
Right.
that can cause some blocks too. I mean, ultimately, we block it ourselves, but it's how we react to criticism or the lack of support, or, those things can block us too. Just somebody simply planting a bad seed in your head.
Mhm.
And you see how bad that were. I mean, we've all experienced that. Planting something negative in your head, and then you're constantly thinking about it. It's kind of funny, like all the little teasy insults my dad gave me when I was a kid. I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm doing everything that you told me I was going to get. Like, they weren't like, he used to make fun of me for having long hair. Maybe he's just teasing, but, and just wanting to live the way I lived. And now I'm living that way. I'm like, hey, he was laughing about it last time I talked to him. Like, hey, Dad, I'm doing exactly what you said I was going to do, but not in a negative way.
Right.
But yeah, those kind of things, and just that negativity of. Another thing is like when people are afraid, fear can do that too. Like fear of like failure
Or disappointment.
or disappointing others, or sorry, but failure is part of it. Yep. All of us fail.
Yep.
All of us succeed, but all of us fail. We got to understand we can't bat
Win
1,000
some,
all the
lose
time.
some.
Yeah. Or as the great Jerry Reed would say, when you're hot, you're hot, or when you're not, you're not. I don't know. What do you have to add, babe?
Oh, I think you basically covered it. I mean, that's...
Well, you're my co-host, co-teacher, so you're supposed to.
Well, I know, but when you already say the things that are on my brain, I mean, what do I say?
I don't know. I know sometimes
Wait,
you can
I
get
already
into
did
chatty
mention
Cathy
the
mode,
seeds,
though.
yeah.
Right, Kathy?
Does
Who
happen.
pulled the string?
Mhm.
Well, it just comes spewing out. I know. But no, you basically said everything I was going to say. It's those simple thoughts. It's our response to other people's words. It's the way we respond. Us allowing those things to affect us in ways that
Paralyze us in a lot of ways. And then we start giving excuses for ourselves, like, oh yeah, I could do this, but if I did this, this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like just completely looking at all negative things that are going to happen and think,
Right.
oh, well, this could happen. Yeah, it could, but it probably won't.
Right.
What'll happen is the things you don't expect to happen will happen. Those negative and the good and the positive things that happen.
Yeah.
That's, yes, you're going through an experience. You're on a certain journey. Yep. You're going to get all of it.
Yeah.
So
Good, bad, the indifferent.
yep.
It's all how we respond, how we view it, how we are. Our perception of things is what we experience. And each one of us has the ability to change that perception at any given time. I mean, sometimes we need to sit and let things integrate into ourselves. We need to like work through things. We need to do, certain rituals or whatever it is to feel like we've made that change. But that change can happen just like that.
Hello, Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, very good. And Joymo's just commented. Joymo, thank you, Joymo. I remember you from TikTok today. Says, I think sometimes people don't realize how much their sly comments can affect someone. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And
However,
I've done it.
yes.
I think we've all been
Oh,
guilty
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Where we don't think of it that way,
Yeah.
but it's taken and felt much harder from the person who's receiving it.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think this day and age, we've gotten far too into watching our words so much that we are thinking about the other and their response so much that we're kind of blocking our own self. We're not letting ourselves flow with things, right? It's not my fault you got your feelings hurt because I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings.
Right.
I actually admire this thing. I just was giving you some shit. That's all. Right. And that's why I say it really is an individual journey. And when you are so tiptoeing around certain things so much, you're really only hurting yourself. And granted, if I say this thing, I might hurt that person's feeling, but let's hope that's not the way they're going to take it, because I don't mean to hurt their feelings, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm not trying to hurt someone by being snide or being a smartass, because I tend to be one, I think that when you stop yourself, that's basically that fear of what someone else may or may not think, right? That's what those blocks are. Now granted, sometimes people are just snide and rude and like whatever, and they don't care how it affects you. There are those people out there too. And they suck, whatever. it's our job not to let it affect us that way. It's up to us to go, that guy's an asshole, whatever.
It's kind of like playing into their game.
Right.
In chess, whenever you play into somebody's game and start playing the game they want you to play, you lose.
Yep.
When you play your game and allow them to play their game, and you play your game against their game, you tend to win, and you're in a lot better place.
Right.
So, and that's a good analogy for me, at least. If you've ever played chess, it's maybe you haven't, but it really is, and that's just with the things that we hear from other people, or the negative comments, or being online and doing live streams. I get some negativity sometimes. I mean, it's probably 99% is positive, but if that one negative thought or negative comment can throw the whole thing off.
Right. And it's his job to not let it throw
him
off.
It's my job, so I've just learned to be better at getting heckled.
Right. Understanding that, their words, what they're saying, what they're doing right now, that's has nothing to do with me. They may be trying to put it on me, but rubber bounces off.
I'm getting better at it's not even it is like rubber. It's like it's going to bounce back and hit you, or like that mirror effect, right? The mirror technique,
right? Where
you just show them a mirror and show them who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're pointing a finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointed back at you,
right?
And everybody can be judged that way.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who you're speaking of, whatever, you can always be judged three times differently, or three different ways, at least. And I find a lot of the people that do heavily judge people, they're miserable in their life.
Yeah,
they're not. They have to throw it somewhere else.
Yeah,
but they can look at themselves and go, and me included. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. But we do need to check ourselves by saying, wait a minute, because humility is also a good way of gaining some clarity. But sometimes we need to be humbled.
Oh, yes.
By nature, by, just the way of things. It just happens that way. And that, staying humble, but still being a dreamer.
Yeah. Being your authentic self, basically. Yeah. No holds barred, being you.
Yep.
Not allowing others' opinions or whatever affect your progress, your truth.
All right, Amy. So would you like to add something to the conversation? You don't have to.
Or have a story or anything. Yeah.
Your mic is muted. Do you hear us, Amy?
I do. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if you wanted to add. You jumped into the room, the studio, so I'm just wondering if you wanted to add to what we're saying, or add to
just
something.
A story of your own.
Yeah.
I came in midstream, so I'm still trying to understand what everyone's talking about.
So far, we're just telling personal stories about like our week, our day, or whatever, as well as we are talking about blockages and limited beliefs.
Limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs. Yeah.
You don't have to add right now, but if you feel like you want to, you can just say, "Yeah, I've got something to add."
Great. Well, I'll tell you, I had to be involved in something at work that I didn't necessarily believe in. I understood it was part of my job, but it did affect me personally, and I think my kind of facial expressions showed the other person truly how I felt, and they understood that it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's as you talk about how some of your actions or your words can impact people, I think some of your emotions can also show them kind of your true feelings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they can. And you had to do what you had to do. You had to make a judgment call. You had to do it for work. So, I mean, you could have went the other way, but there's consequences to that side too. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. I feel like in this case, it needed to happen anyway. I just right up, what I'm getting right now, don't feel bad about it. I mean, you can have sympathy for a person, but don't get so empathic to where you feel bad about
doing your job.
what's happening to them,
Or yeah.
which it's just the way it had to happen. Now, some people can talk themselves into, and that's a block within itself. Well, I had to do it, and
It's my job. I had
it's
to.
my job, and that can, I can get really a little quail out there.
Mhm.
That can get, we can actually delude ourselves in thinking
Right.
we're doing the right thing, and we know we didn't.
Right.
I don't feel like that's in this case,
Not
but
here, yeah.
we can do that too. I think it's just constantly checking yourself,
Mhm.
but not stopping living, not being so hard on yourself, or checking yourself so hard that you're just down on yourself all the
Right.
time.
And like you said, you knew it was part of your job, but you found you really didn't like doing it. And that, so give yourself time to like go, can I do this job if I have to do this more? Like, give yourself room to explore those feelings and why you felt that way and what about it was so, impactful, right? And then you can then work on either changing your perception or changing your work, whichever fits your heart best, right? So it's understanding those things in our lives that when we give ourselves excuses or we like disassociate from things, or when we just try to ignore the bad parts of whatever, it doesn't really help us to grow, right? Like I know at some point I'm gonna have to call some of my animals, and right now that's it's hard for me to think about. But when I'm actually sitting down, I'm going, no, you know what? I know it's gonna need to happen. I got the cycle of life is the cycle of life, right? And so you have to
I
really
think it's just giving them
making sure they're
the
happy,
love and,
content,
yeah,
loved throughout the whole
spoiled,
process, right?
basically.
and knowing that though I may not love that part of the job, it's one of those necessities that won't tear at my heart so much, right? Because it is a cycle. It's just the way things.
And the gratitude.
Yes,
Jean
and
said,
being grateful.
Jean said being grateful.
Yes.
She also said, well, maybe change your perspective on them. When I get triggered, I say thank you. Then I ask myself to do what I want to be triggered.
Mhm.
Ask myself, do I want to be triggered?
Right.
Face the trigger.
Mhm.
Laugh at myself and let go.
Right.
Not easy.
Nope.
It took me a long time. And
Right.
it's still, there's certain things that aren't easy. Like
Right.
they're just, even now, like in my life,
Yes. Yep.
I've gotten to a lot of places where I just, the same things that bugged me 10 years ago don't bug me now.
Right.
Or
Right.
as much as they used to.
Right.
But there's still those challenging thoughts and challenging emotions that come up
Mhm.
that we still aren't comfortable with, but we know
Right.
we need to see it through. Just keep
Mhm.
ride through it, learn from it.
Yep.
If you're being triggered, you're usually something inside of you that's
Yes,
pissing you off
yes.
about that other person.
Like
that's
there's been
triggering you.
times I've seen people do some pretty harsh shit, and I'm like, oh my god, and then I had to go, wait, hang on. I may have done it like that, but I done it. I guess I really don't know how rude to talk. You know what I mean? Like,
If that's not checking yourself,
yes.
though.
Yeah.
And it's important to do that.
Mhm.
There's people I know that don't check themselves, and they'll just continue to go in the same vicious cycle over and over and over again, because they're not willing to stop and be accountable.
Right.
And look at things and
Right.
look. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, wait! I did that too.
Yep.
What am I sitting here pointing my finger for?
Right.
And that can be a hard thing. But
It
it
can
looks
be.
like Spirit's bringing in
Yeah.
accountability. Accountability. Take the hit yourself.
Perception. Yep.
It's going to be you hitting yourself.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That's
Yes.
a good thing to wake up
I
and
mean,
look at things and
yes.
just do things a little bit differently
Right.
from there. Learn from it.
I mean, a lot of us have learned to be overly critical of ourselves. And we got to learn to let that go too a little bit. Yes, you want to check yourself, make sure you're on the right side of your thoughts, or you're, be in balance. But yeah, you don't have to constantly kick yourself in the ass, and you also should not ignore yourself.
Good
right?
night, Jean.
Night, Jean.
True, are they a narcissist? She says, and that's true. There are
Right,
some
yes.
people that are so
They
that
just
don't have a
yeah.
conscience. Like
Yeah.
their inner dialogue is me, 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 me.
Mhm.
And why is this? Narcissists are, and I think we've all been kind of programmed to be somewhat have some narcissistic tendencies.
Yes.
I mean,
In the consumer
I'll tell you, Barbie for
society in
one,
which
like
we
in that
are,
image that you
yes.
keep up, or models.
Mhm. Yeah.
Remember in the '90s they called it heroin chic. That was the style for models, and they were supposed to be like
stick figures.
almost as skinny as Karen Carpenter right before she died, you know, like that. And a lot of girls, I'm sure, looked up to that.
Yep.
A lot of guys thought that that's exactly what they wanted, and didn't, you know. Yeah, we are. That's why we check ourselves, so we don't become full narcissists.
Right. Or get so lost in a delusion or an idea or belief that we can't grow from it.
Yeah. And I have that coming from I hear that coming from the religious side of things, and people that are into the New Age or the more open side of things. That's actually become such a religion that you know, the fourth and fifth dimension have to be reached by, you know, the Pleiadians that are coming to save us. You know, that shit is. It's okay to entertain, and that doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. But
we lose
sight of everything else. Yeah,
we miss the forest from the trees.
Right. Yeah.
And you know that delusional state is, especially with the awakenings that are going on.
Because all is mind.
All of the information being shared.
Mind is
it's really easy to get sucked into something like that, like cultish behavior.
Yeah.
And that can be really scary. You can get really lost there, and that will cause a lot of blocks or keep you in this weird.
And a lot of people that have found themselves in those positions will tell you that, like, well, I believe this is what I had to do.
Yep.
And I mean, I didn't necessarily want to. And that's what I mean by giving ourselves excuses to do things that maybe we shouldn't do, right? Just because it's my job, or my boss said so, or, well, you know, I know, but he told me I have to be the one to fire you. You know, whatever excuse you're giving yourself to play a role that is going against your heart, your soul, your being, make sure it's one that you can eventually at least come to terms with in your heart and your soul, right? Maybe right now, your emotional state, you don't agree, and it takes you a minute to integrate and understand the full aspect of those things that you're doing or experiencing or being told or whatever it is. How we react to this world is us, right? It doesn't matter if it's a mean person I'm dealing with, a nice person I'm dealing with, it's understanding that no matter how I react, it's up to me, if I don't like my reaction, to change that reaction.
Yep.
Not up to them to change the way they dealt with me. I mean, that might be nice too in some situations, but it's still up to me to react differently to someone that I now know acts like that.
Try to react in the most positive way I can.
Right.
Sometimes that doesn't happen.
Nope.
Sometimes it takes me years before something finally smacks me in the face.
Right.
I'm human. I can teach you what I know to this point and what I've learned over the years, but I still make mistakes. We all do.
Oh, we're humans. It's going to happen.
And we need to acknowledge those mistakes. Yep. And sometimes it's a lot harder to swallow it.
Yeah.
You know, or errors in judgment, errors in thinking.
Yeah.
Whilst still maintaining that spiritual side of things and knowing that's a real thing. But where are you at right now? I think that's why the present is the most important, because you can take stock of where you're at, what you're thinking, how you're reacting to certain things. If you just stop and look at it.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that will delay moving forward with their life with menial tasks.
Yep. Just
to ignore that. Or just to kind of run from what their life has ahead of them.
Right.
You know, what they have, what their possible achievement.
Their potential.
Yeah, their potential. Thank you, honey. So Denise says, people pleasers.
Yes. Yep.
I
was one for a long time too. Really, I was one for a long time too. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you're just, and people pleasers comes with you're just trying to be nice. You want to help people. You want to make people smile. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. But it's when we expect somebody to take it a certain way,
or
because it makes us feel better when we see somebody else feel better.
Right.
And that's a good feeling.
Yes.
But sometimes we can get so addicted to that feeling that
then we start putting things on people.
We forget about ourselves, or we get drained, or we start giving to the wrong people and pleasing the wrong people, the people that don't really care. and don't acknowledge
Aren't
it.
giving any energy back.
Right.
Just taking it all. Yep.
And Kelly says, whatever happened to people looking at the soul and not the meat suits?
Right.
I pick up on the soul very easy, simple life. Happy to be this way. I know my worth and love who I have become. That's right.
That's right. That's exactly it.
That's
Yep.
right, Kelly.
That's it. And that's why I say, when we do go through situations that are hard or whatever, there's aspects of things we don't like. We have to really look at it and figure out, is this something that I can either come to terms with and be good in my soul and my heart? Or is this something I might want to reconsider?
Yeah. Does anybody want to give an example of a block, or when you've been blocked or it felt blocked, or how you got out of it, or whatever you want to share?
I'm still working on getting out of certain thought processes and
Me too.
reactions. I mean, there's plenty of things I can see where I've improved, thank God. Otherwise, I'd probably still be a maniac. But no, it's understanding, really understanding our reaction to life, right? And yes, looking at someone's soul and
To
knowing
our triggers, yep.
Yeah, knowing that, okay, you know what? That person's not necessarily a bad person, and they made me feel this way right now, but was it them or is that me? Because a lot of times it's us. It's not them.
Right.
Not that there aren't those them out there trying to make us feel that way. But again, up to us to face those triggers, understand why we react certain ways, and then changing it. And that is a process. That's a journey in itself. Changing that physiology within yourself, that natural reaction to react that way, right? Switching it up can take time sometimes, and not beating ourselves up about the fact that we're still working on it after X amount of time. I mean, it serves no purpose to beat yourself up over it. Recognizing that, oh, wow, I'm still doing this. Okay, hang on. And then thinking about it and going, what is it really about this particular thing making me react this way?
Yeah.
And then really working with yourself to change your physiological reactions.
Your emotional reactions.
Yes.
Emotions can really take you in
Right.
places that, and I've done it. I've done it by misreading a comment.
Yep.
And get a little huffy over it. I'm like, wait a minute, that wasn't meant to be bad. But yeah, we've got to be careful. We've got to check our triggers.
Yeah.
Whenever we feel triggered by something, stop and think. Like Denise was saying earlier, I count to 3 before I responded. Anyway.
Right.
And that's it. Like, calm your emotions. If something's got your hackles up, got you all up in arms
Mm-hmm.
and angry, you got to think about it. Why am I angry? And sometimes you'll think about it. You're like, oh no, I'm angry because this is really making me angry. And it's, there's righteous anger. There is such a thing as righteous anger.
Yes. And anger it can be very good and very healthy. There's a lot of circumstances in which if you're not angry, I have to wonder. But it's not living in that anger. And really it's using that emotion correctly.
Anger drains a lot more energy.
Yes.
Where happiness gives
And
more
joy,
energy, anger drains your energy.
Right.
And like I said, there's a righteous anger, but even that righteous anger needs to be in check sometimes, or you're gonna burn out.
Right.
You're gonna burn out because you're so focused and tense on anger instead of seeing other avenues of other ways to approach it.
Right.
Norma's worried about the little cheap
They're
cheeps.
chirping really loud right now.
They chirp right before it goes to bed, or before the sun goes to bed. But before they go to bed.
Sorry.
Kelly Dick says, I was very blocked in my marriage. Divorce was lucky to get out alive, and on my first leaving. Took me a long time to find myself again. It was the beginning of my awakening journey.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because you were willing to step out and say, oh, you know what? This is not for me anymore. That's why I don't think divorce is bad. I think before you get into a marriage, and none of us do, we always jump into it. Oh, I love this person. It's such a great thing. Or we get into it with expectations of that other person changing themselves instead of falling in love with who they are right there as they are. Because we start, expecting others to do. That'll cause some anger and blocks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't expect anybody to do anything.
Nope.
or we will be very angry all the time. And yeah, of course we wish that they'd get there, but
maybe
sometimes
we're
they
wrong
don't get
on
there.
wanting them
And
to
maybe
get there.
there's some
Maybe
aspects that
we're
we're
like,
wrong.
you know, over here going like it should be like this and it should be like that. But when you really think about it in the long term, long run, you go, oh no, actually it probably shouldn't have been like that because that could have been really bad, you know, or really confusing, or really this, or really that. I mean, it's expectations
domestic
are tough.
violence is definitely a good reason to get out of a marriage.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My daughter's recently getting out of another one of those.
And it is. It's that but we do it at 60 years old, 70 years old. Infatuation plays a real, and loneliness. We get lonely.
Yes, very emotional.
And I try to tell everybody, everybody should live on their own, alone, for at least a year.
I didn't, by the way.
No, I don't think you've ever lived alone. No.
I did live
more
alone
when
for a
you were
little while.
teenager.
I mean, for like a little while, for a couple months at a time, a couple times, but that's about it.
But it is a good because you do
To really get to know yourself.
Yeah.
What you like, what you want, what yeah.
And like right now, this is what I'm learning, is being out here off grid in the middle of nowhere. You get a lot of time to think and ponder and check yourself, and that's good. But that's a challenge for me. I'm willing. I'm taking on the challenge. I'm not going anywhere. I'm seeing this through. But it can be when you have a lot of alone time to think, and it's quiet. And you have no interference, and you can't, just find some interference, and it's good though. It's good for you. It's good for the soul. It's good for you as a human being.
Right. Well, because really, I think that when we get into relationships, if you haven't had some time on your own and really know what it is you want in this world, it's easier to get trapped in those DV instances, right? Because you're willing to concede to someone so easily, or you fell for the charm, and when the first red flag came out, you're like, oh, but that can't be the real thing, right? Like, and you ignore it. But when you know yourself, value yourself, know what you want, what you like, then you're just looking for someone to add to your life, not someone that you have to please all the time, or someone that's going to make your life better for you, or someone that's going to save you, or any of those other things.
Right. It really makes you look at you like,
Yes.
oh, I'm out here. There's no, we definitely get help. I mean, obviously we have a lot of support.
Yes, thank God. Yep.
But if something breaks down, I've got to do it. There's no mechanic there is, but they're 30 miles away,
Right.
or 25, 30 minutes away. And, things break down a lot out here. And I've had to learn to deal with them. There's no convenience there. It's
Right.
The convenience is you doing it yourself.
Right.
So I'm learning a lot about my own, going through my own, I don't want to say it's dark night of the soul, but accountability.
Yep. Well, I had the chance to learn these things and I didn't, because they just didn't. And you know what? I really could have learned that right now. You know what I mean? They would have been nice if I had taken the time to learn that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I got a lot of that going on too. I still give myself a small excuse. I was so ADD as a kid that all these things I would love to do now, I had the opportunity to learn when I was younger and just didn't. It just didn't keep my interest long enough.
Like what?
Like crocheting, knitting, sewing. And I can do some sewing, don't get me wrong. I can do some things, but my grandma was awesome. I lived with my grandma for a while. I could have learned so much more, but I just could not keep my brain in the game. And for whatever reason, whether that's the traumas I was going through, whatever BS reason I want to give myself for that, I chose not to pay attention to the things that, though I liked, I didn't think were going to get me anywhere, right? I'm like, oh, well, that's just boring, whatever, blah, blah. But then you get older and you realize, wow, that would have been a great skill to know right now,
Denise says, I love being alone, or living alone and being very independent. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
There's something to it. I mean, you have to kind of look at yourself. You can't run from yourself anymore.
Yeah.
You can't distract yourself with other things going on in your world. And there's, all the drama is on you.
Right.
Unless you invite it in.
Right.
But then Kelly Dick says, been on my own since 2000, just me and my boy who has special needs. Not lonely at all. That's right.
Yep.
And that loneliness, you let it get too much, like you think too much about it. Yeah, that's what causes us to jump into like toxic relationships. and like give the benefit of the doubt to assholes.
Right.
You know, that we know are assholes from the beginning, but we're like, well, they'll get better.
Yeah.
Or
maybe they charmed you at first.
yeah, that happens.
That happens.
But you tend to see the red flags right from the beginning.
Yeah. Like
Amy posted in the studio chat, I'm very sensitive to energies around me. It can become uncomfortable at times. I try to react differently to change the energy. It's tough, but I try and find different space to not take that on. And then she also said, I was bitter about my family treats each other, how my family treats each other. I've learned to realize they are all experiencing their own pain and grief. I've learned to just give more love or space.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
and
awesome.
That's just it.
Yep.
And that's just it. Expecting someone to do something different than what they've always done or whatever, or when they're trying to put stuff on you. Like I said, it's my responsibility not to let. It's up to me not to take it in, right? It's up to me to understand that no matter what's flying at me, and granted, I'm still human. Something comes at me that I didn't expect. I might react. I don't want to, but yes, being able to see those things and understanding they're dealing with their own life. This is how they react to the world, right? And it can be really, really hard to change the way you react, especially when you're in these cycles of things. But recognizing though that yes, hey, you know what, I can take a step back. I don't have to take this personally anymore because I understand now that's them, has nothing to do with me. They may want me to take it on for them, but I'm not going to. You know, I use cloaks and shields constantly. Trust me, I know.
Joy Bo says, I'm alone, but I don't feel lonely. Right? And sometimes it's okay to feel lonely sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when we get to this place where we feel like we need somebody else to make us happy. That's not how it works in a good relationship. That's when you got to
really understand.
Good relationship, you already are happy, but you're sharing happiness with somebody else.
Right.
I kind of look at it like a gas tank where you can't give other people, like love is kind of like a gas tank where you can't give other people love unless you have some of your own.
There it is.
Right.
Yep. Well said. Yep.
Yep.
Well said. What's up, Anthony? How are we doing today?
Better, I hope.
Hello again, Penny. Oh, it sounds like he's having mic issues.
Oh, darn it.
So yeah, I mean, really kind of top it all off and finish our thoughts on this.
Well, I'll add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Anybody else wants to add a closing thought, please add and just speak up.
When people are alone, they tend to feel what many call boredom. Boredom,
yes,
is your emotion when you know there's plenty to be done. Many
that's
things
not
you
what
could
I want to do.
But that's not what you want to do. And you are then giving yourself an excuse to not do what you need to be doing, to do what you want, or to, well, I'm doing this because I'm just bored. There's nothing other than the million dishes I gotta do and the cleaning of my room or the meditation I should be doing at the moment, or whatever it is. Boredom is that word we use for avoiding,
because there's always something to do. Always.
Yes.
I remember my kids, or me saying that to my dad. He's like, no, go out and play. There's always something to do. Go find a stick,
right,
and be imaginative with it and play with it. I did the same thing with my kids. They were like, I'm bored. I'm like, why? Because you don't have a game console in front of your face or phones. I'm like, we didn't have phones when I was a kid.
Because your brain's not.
We went out and rode our bikes or went for a walk or, played sports or whatever. There was always something to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot of the times we were bored because we were avoiding the things we didn't want to do.
Right. Those things that, like I was saying with the menial tasks, like learning how to crochet and doing all that stuff that my grandma could have taught me.
Now you have no excuse because we have YouTube University now.
Well, and that's true. But, understanding those things and knowing that, when this is just boring. Why? Why is it so boring? Because it could actually help you, but you don't want the help right now. You want to be entertained.
Yeah.
I
need to always be entertained and feel happy.
We've grown up in a life where bread and circuses is a big thing.
Yeah.
And many people without
And that's all they
realizing it
are. Most of
addicted to
them
it.
are distractions.
Yes.
Not to say there's not some great movies ever made.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
few, not many these days, but at least in my opinion, there are. Entertainment is a crucial part. I think
It is.
helps
It
make
is.
you smile, helps make you feel better.
Right.
Some
And sometimes
people,
we do need to detach from our lives for a minute to just,
Yeah.
take a breather.
Would anybody else like to add before I close this one off? We're an hour in, so yeah. If anybody wants to join the class, just send me a message. I used to have a way you could just go to my website and do it, but you just have to send me a message, and it is a monthly subscription. But if this is something you're interested in, and we go into all different kind of topics,
Yes.
different type of exercises. We don't.
Yep.
Tonight was just talking about blocks and limited beliefs. But next week we could be visiting, a far off planet somewhere or a different alien species. I don't like to call them aliens. There we go. He's back. Is your mic working now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
There it is.
Nice.
Yep, I can hear you.
Very good.
Welcome back,
Yep.
Anthony. I don't know how much you heard, but
Yep,
if you want to add to what we're talking about, go ahead.
Well, like I said, for what I picked up literally, it's just it's for myself wise, it's pretty interesting when you are a Scorpio and stuff like that, and those mystic gifts stuff. Literally it's like, okay, here's the message, and they give you the message maybe a month in advance, and you have no idea where it's going for. So you're looking for this month, but no, it's about like 3 months ahead, or give you hints of stuff or glimpses of this and that, and you don't have any idea on what's going on. Sometimes those gifts and abilities can just literally drive you completely nuts. And it doesn't matter how your regular life is going. It's like, hey, we're here. I'm over here. A family member, you get angry at a family member for no apparent reason. It's like, yeah, it's because of this side over here. And it's like, just stay over here. I'm working on something here. Don't come over here. Don't buy. And trying to explain to them this, and this. Like, oh no, don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. Just forget about everything. Just keep going what you're doing. Focus on one thing at a time. I'm like, well, I wish I could focus on one thing at a time, but when you start one thing and then you're almost finished with it, and then you have to stop what you're doing, do 5 other different things before you get back to the first thing that you started with. After a while, it starts going, you know what? Sometimes these gifts aren't worth it. And at other times, you look back at the times have actually helped and people and stuff like that, and it's like, well, okay, I guess I just need to calm down a little bit and go, you know what? Yes, I have. What else do you got for me? And that's the whole thing, is once you master each level and stuff, those that keep in check of those who want to use their gifts and abilities will start coming to you, and they will start testing you to see what you're good at.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you get into the higher levels where you're actually starting to see messages and stuff like that, or literally actually talking to spirits and stuff like that, there are certain checkpoints that you have to go through to make sure that you're actually using your gifts and abilities right. Because if you're not, there are those that will come and say, you know what, here's this person who like had their gifts and abilities, and all of a sudden, bam, they got it taken away. And literally, there was a person that was so bounded up by their gifts, just overwhelmed by it. I was like, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to turn your gifts off. It's like, what? You can do that? I'm like, yeah, I can turn it off, but you have to understand that if they need you to do something for them, it will turn itself back on.
Yep.
It really turned itself back on, like you left the volume on your TV way up.
Yep.
So either A, you confront it and calm it down but literally if you need a break from it, yeah, I'd be more than happy to turn it off. Like I said, it's easy to turn off the gift.
Yeah.
Right.
You get it. It's think of it like relighting the furnace.
Yep.
It's like, oh, come on, I got you lit about 2 hours ago. Nope.
It's a lot easier to master that flame the first time and try to get through all of it than to try to relight it every time.
Yeah.
All
right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. Well, go ahead. I
don't know if I went off topic or stuff. So
we were talking about limiting beliefs and blocks, like clearing blocks.
Oh, well, clearing blocks is most of the time, like I said, the way I see my clearing box is literally, I always picture myself sitting at a table.
Uh,
My spiritual self sitting at a table, right? And then here's the think of it like a mailman bringing you a sack of letters.
Mhm.
So they plop it right next to you, and you go, "What? I just finished. I know you finished one. I got 2 more coming next week, so you might want to go through this pile now instead of waiting."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I got 2 more piles there, right? Especially like I said, when when you start interacting with your guides and stuff, it's like, all right, now I understand why you're here. Here, you take these 5 here. I'm going to start delegating. And there's times where literally I have sent my guides over to people, and they have said, I just saw this shaped certain type of person just walk through my house and clear out this. I'm like, yeah, that was my guide. And they could literally hear a fight going on, banging and slamming and stuff.
Yep.
Of them clearing the place out, and literally they feel a whole change in the energy and stuff.
Yep.
And like I
Yeah.
said, go back.
Penny says in chat, she says, "I want to turn it back on," and you can. It's it's always there. You can turn the volume down, but sometimes you can't. You know.
It's
there.
quite easy to
Trust
turn
me.
it back on. The best way to do it is remember it never went out.
Exactly.
Because that's what. So when I teach people to understand energy and flow and stuff like that, that's why I always go back to the candle part. Because the hottest part of that flame is the very tip. Even science itself says that the hottest part of that flame is the tip of that flame that you don't see.
Yep.
And that part of that flame that once you master and understand it, that there are times where literally people have told me, you have no energy at all. I'm like, no, I know where my energy at. It's literally once you start understanding, as I tell my people to breathe, when you're learning to understand your energy, breathe on that candle. Watch how it raises up when you breathe in or breathe out, and watch how low it gets, especially when you breathe out. How low it gets to the point where it's almost out. And there's times where I've done that actually where I think it's actually blown out, where literally you see the smoke. And then literally I breathe back in and it comes back up. And it's like, okay, I thought for a minute, I thought you went out, and literally here's my guide going, you're learning to master it. I'm like, just a second, I'll be right back. Carry on.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And like I said, if you are interested in the class and joining the class, we do this once a week, every Sunday night. Sometimes we change the date if it's a holiday
or something
or whatever. Just send me a message on my website, www.psychicshaman333.com, or just send me a message on Facebook or
YouTube or
an email, which my email is in my bio. So anyway, much love. Y'all have a great week.
Yes.
We'll see you soon. Thank you all for being here.
Yes, we
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
Much love, guys.
Be free, my friends.
Yes.